Imagine turning the clock backward 5 millennia. Before the ink dried on the first maps of modern nations, a single organism began its life. When Republic formed, and before its great forums were left to ruin, it had already been alive for thousands of years. We are talking about Methuselah, a bristlecone pine tree quietly growing high up in the mountains of California. Every legendary human empire that rose to conquer the known world eventually collapsed. This solitary piece of wood simply stayed exactly where it was and outlived them all. You might assume the oldest living thing on Earth resides in a lush, protected rainforest, but its actual home is this sparse, unforgiving expanse of rock and dust at a brutal altitude. For thousands of winters, it has endured freezing snowfall, howling alpine winds, and decades-long droughts with almost zero access to water. To anyone walking past, its twisted, skeletal branches look completely dead, which begs an obvious question. How exactly does a living thing survive for 48 centuries in an environment perfectly calibrated to destroy it? The answer lies in how the tree responds to the cold. Instead of trying to grow tall and fast, Methuselah barely grows at all. Because the growing season is so agonizingly short and harsh, the cellular tissue of the wood is forced to compress. The cells stack incredibly close to one another. This density turns the trunk into something resembling stone. It creates a fortress of biological armor, immune to rot, insects, and frost. The gnarled, lifeless-looking exterior functions as a hardened shield, taking the brunt of the elements, while a tiny ribbon of living tissue continues to grow deep inside. The mountain's harsh conditions didn't break Methuselah. They provided the precise pressure needed to forge wood that simply refuses to decay. Scientists don't have to guess the age of these pines or cut them down to figure it out. They rely on a method called dendrochronology. Looking at this trunk's cross-section, we see the core principle. The tree adds exactly one new concentric ring every single year. The varying widths and microscopic gaps between these lines form a permanent physical record of historical rainfall, droughts, and climate cycles. When we map human history onto these inner rings, we can point to the exact sliver of wood that grew the year Columbus sailed, or the year the Magna Carta was signed. Methuselah is a continuous biological hard drive, storing 4,800 consecutive years of atmospheric data. Today, this ancient pine sits somewhere within the protected boundaries of California's Inyo National Forest. But after surviving everything the planet's weather systems could throw at it for 5 millennia, its greatest existential threat now walks on two legs. Human interference, whether accidental damage or intentional vandalism, is the one thing its armor cannot stop. Because of this, the Forestry Service employs a radical conservation strategy. Methuselah's exact coordinates are strictly classified. There are no signs pointing to it, and its location is kept totally secret from the public. To keep the ultimate survivor of the natural world alive, we have to completely hide it from humanity. We live in a society that constantly prioritizes moving fast, scaling up quickly, and expanding outward at all costs. Methuselah demonstrates that rapid expansion is not the only way an organism survives for the long term. The trees that grew too fast in this environment died off thousands of years ago. True resilience in this landscape meant adapting quietly to the cold, pacing every single biological resource, and building a durable defense over centuries. Methuselah remains a hidden, silent monument on that mountain, a reminder that sometimes the most effective way to win is simply to outlast everything else.